Welcome back, Heat Seekers. It's Sunday morning. We had a week off last week because, well, I didn't wake up. And we are back this week, though. We got some Sunday football going on. It looks like it's still 10-3, right, guys?
I believe so, yeah.
It is, yes.
10-3 right now. Miami Dolphins, Tua looking decent. And we're still wondering where Myles Gaskin is because he only shows up when you don't play him, apparently.
That's true.
Sully, how was your week? How was your last 2 weeks?
Good, man. Yeah, I'm trying to be like Bryce. It's always good. So I'm I'm about 80% this morning, but I'll work through it and we're good to go. Bryce, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm always good. Last week was probably my worst week in fantasy football, but it can only go up from here, I'm assuming. So
awesome.
But other than that, always good.
That is, yeah. We don't want to hear that. The worst week ever.
Saquon, a lot of Saquon.
Saquon,
yeah,
that's rough.
Daniel Jones, yeah, a lot of that.
That's rough. That's rough. We got CXK in here saying Heat. Joseph, happy football Sunday. Yes, I just freaking love Sundays. Just love
Last
Sundays.
Sunday apparently was the longest day in NFL history. From the start of the London game through the delay in the Sunday night game to the end of it. Longest or at least in 50 years or something.
I can't remember what I was doing I was recording the waiver wire video.
That's right.
And I figured I'd come back and it'd be like the fourth quarter. And it's like, we're starting the third quarter in 10 minutes. And I'm like, holy shit, what happened? That's different. You don't see a lot of those in football. A lot of postponements or delays or anything like that. So that's different. But how you Red Sox doing, Sully?
1-1. They blew it in game one. Gave up a couple of late dingers to hand Houston game one, and then they went up 9-0. A grand slam in the first and second inning. First team in postseason history to do that, and then tried to give that away and ended up winning 9-5 yesterday.
Yeah,
bullpen's terrible.
That's the hard thing in baseball is getting that bullpen right.
Yeah.
Pay says Hockenson or Schultz. Who are we starting at tight end, Bryce?
Man, this is a good one. But Hockenson, I'm not 100% sure he's healthy. I think we talked about it on the Wednesday night show. And he just doesn't seem like he's fully healthy. He was on the injury report all week this week. He did practice, but it just seems like he has a nagging injury where Schultz has an opening today. They play New England, and New England's really good at taking away a team's best receiving threat, and I think that's going to be CeeDee Lamb this week. So I think that opens the door for Schultz and Amari Cooper to have a big day. New England does not do well against elite tight, or not elite, but pretty good tight ends, and I think Schultz is a pretty good one. Sully?
Oh man, this is a good question, and you would think it'd be Hockenson by a mile, but it isn't. Part of the reason is because nobody can catch a football on the Lions, so you just put three guys on TJ Hockenson and kind of take him away. Schultz has blown me away this year. I thought last year he was a good receiving option because of Jarwin's injury, and he's just left Jarwin in the dust in that offense. So, man, I'd probably still lean Hockenson, but I wouldn't argue with anyone if they put in Dalton Schultz instead. What about you, Rick?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. It's obviously a shit spot to be in as an owner, right? Hockenson should be the easy decision here. And after 2 weeks, we thought that was what it was going to be. And the volume has dissipated, and that means his fantasy production has dissipated. And the exact opposite has happened for Schultz. So it's right now with Hockenson banged up, it is a 50-50. I tend to lean talent in that situation. So Hockenson would be probably the guy I started, but it could easily also just piss me off after I did it. So it's a tough spot to be in, and hopefully Hockenson just gets healthy and then clears that whole situation up. But CXK says, love this channel. Thanks for your analysis in advance. Start one: Khalil Herbert, AJ Dillon, Henry Ruggs, Rondale Moore, or Rashad Bateman. Sully, Which one of those are you starting?
Wow. Bye weeks, hey? It's either Herbert or Ruggs for me. Who are you, Bryce?
I'm going Herbert here. I think his floor is just by far the safest out of all these options. Henry Ruggs pretty much has a floor of two points, where I think Herbert sees minimum 15 touches today, all the way up to potentially 25. I'm not sure how he's going to get used in the receiving game. I'm sure Rick could, go in more depth on that, because I didn't really get to watch the Bears last week, but I know Damian Harris was their guy in that receiving aspect, and now he's not playing today. So I don't know if Herbert has the potential to, be effective out of the backfield, but we saw that he kind of was getting he was getting majority of the rushing attempts. But I'm going to go Herbert here. Rick?
I do think Herbert will be used in the passing game. I mean, I would assume if you can return punts and kicks, they would trust you enough to toss you a pass. And before the Bears went out and got Grant, who is a great kick returner, that's what Herbert was the guy that was doing that. So I have to assume, even though he didn't get targets last week, that he's going to in this game, especially with it being against Green Bay. They're gonna be playing at least keep up at minimum with Aaron Rodgers. So they're probably going to have to use him in that regard, but he is going to get like probably 80% of the running back work. He had 18 carries last week, didn't have targets, but he is the guy. The only thing I would say is that if you needed upside, I could see going with Ruggs or Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore gives you a better floor ceiling combination than Ruggs does probably, but I probably go Herbert and take the 18 touches probably is where we're going to say 18 to 20. So that's where I would go. Craig wants to know, I'm making soup today. What are each of your favorite soups? Sully, you got one?
I'm a cream soup guy. So you cream anything, I'll eat it. I just like cream of mushroom, cream of broccoli, cream or whatever. But, Craig, do with that what you will, my friend.
Bryce?
I like Italian wedding soup.
Well, that's a good one too.
And the little pasta. Yeah, I've been a pretty big fan of that one recently. Rick?
I am probably my favorite soup is, I don't know, man, cheddar and broccoli. Like a good cheddar and broccoli bread bowl is awesome. I'm a chili guy though. So, I mean, I don't know if I know some people say, oh, that's not really a soup. And some people are like, oh, it is. I don't really care. I like meat chili. Soup. Yeah. So.
It's good. So who cares if it's a soup or not? It's good.
CXK says beef stew.
There you go.
It's a good one. Also, Sully, tired, sick, or hungover?
Yes.
1 and 3.
Yes.
You could tell. The Dazed Fool says, hey, y'all, I'm having trouble with my flex spot. Any recommendations? I'm torn between Tony Pollard, Mecole Hardman, and Darnell Mooney. For me, it's not Pollard, because I just think his usage is going to be inconsistent from week to week with Zeke there. But the same can be, maybe it is Pollard. I don't know. This one sucks.
Is this like rest of the season or today?
Yeah, that would be good to know, Dazed. If it's today, I mean, Mecole Hardman's getting targets right now. And it's hard not to take a guy getting targets in a Kansas City offense. Obviously, I think Chicago's going to obviously have to throw more than they have been, because this isn't Detroit. This isn't Las Vegas. I probably go with Mecole Hardman here, and I don't like it because I'm not a Mecole Hardman fan, but if you're getting targets from Patrick Mahomes, I'm with it. Bryce, what are you thinking?
Yeah, you could
just today, he said.
Okay. You could easily chalk this up to floor and ceiling. I think Tony Pollard pretty easily has the best floor here. His usage is inconsistent, but it seems like at least he's getting 10 touches every week. And again, against New England, they don't do very well against the run game or backs that can catch it out of the backfield, which Tony Pollard does well at both. But if I really want that boom play, I'm probably leaning Mecole Hardman, but I don't think Darnell Mooney's ceiling is much lower than Mecole Hardman. You could argue it's they're kind of neck and neck, but I want that team that can score more touchdowns very fast, and Mecole Hardman is on a team that does that. So
Sully.
It's kind of a floor ceiling play for me. I think the floor is probably Pollard. Pollard's on pace for 1,000 rushing yards this year, which is pretty insane considering he's not the lead back. Mecole Hardman is getting targets, but Darnell Mooney's going up against the secondary that's either hurt or terrible. And he's also Justin Fields' favorite receiver. Is that fair to say, Rick? Like,
I think him and A-Rob are pretty close together, but it's it's them two and really nobody else.
Yeah. So if I'm looking for a safer type of floor, I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. And if I played against something on Thursday night and I got to get some points on the board, I'm going to take a shot on Darnell Mooney in this one.
Fun fact with Chicago, since Fields took over, they've tried a ton of 20-yard passes or further, and Cole Kmet leads the team in those targets.
It's interesting.
They have not connected.
They have not connected.
He's getting the targets, hasn't connected. Joseph over on YouTube says, who should I start at flex? Pittman Jr. or Alex Collins? Full PPR. Your thoughts on Amon St. Brown? Sully, flex.
Well, nobody
Pittman
loves Alex
or
Collins. Nobody loves Alex Collins more than I do. With that said, it's Pittman. And in terms of Amon St. Brown, I think we're going to find out because he's probably the only realistic, healthy pass-catching option other than TJ Hawkinson and the running backs in that offense. And he's starting to look like he's kind of figuring things out a little bit. I thought he looked pretty good last week. So he's working his way into being a weekly flex option, I think. How about you, Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. It's Pittman Jr. here, but to take note, I do like Alex Collins a lot. I have him in quite a few flex spots this week. I didn't think he looked bad personally last week. It's just that was a tough matchup for him.
Yeah.
And I really do like Amon St. Brown. I was actually pretty big on Quintez Cephas, and after last week, I had him in quite a few lineups as well in a deep flex spot with Calvin Ridley out and things like that, and dropped him, obviously, because he's out for the year, and picked up St. Brown and plugged him into my flex spot. I liked what I saw last week, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him being he has the tools to be a PPR monster. Obviously, that whole team doesn't have much touchdown upside, but he could get you 8 for 60 easily. So
I would liken him to kind of Jacoby Myers right now, right? Getting targets.
Absolutely.
Don't know if he's ever going to get into the end zone, though.
He might have to throw it like Jacoby.
I was going to say, can he throw touchdown passes?
Yeah.
That is perfect.
And I agree. It's Pittman. I mean, look at this guy's targets this year. He is the guy. Carson Wentz finally looks healthy.
He looked good
and
last week.
that is paying off dividends for Michael Pittman Jr. He is the number one. I think, T.Y. Hilton, people are going to be worried because he just came off IR. But we saw T.Y. Hilton last year just look old. So if he does look good, I think it actually helps Pittman too, right? Like maybe Pittman doesn't get the 12 targets that he's been getting. Maybe he only gets 9, 10, but the coverage is going to completely change because it's different if you're covering a healthy T.Y. Hilton than it is Zach Pascal or Doolin or whoever else is catching passes in Indianapolis, Paris Campbell. He had his career day in their last game. Anthony says, good morning, Heat Seekers. And Sully's going to love this one. Kadarius Toney or Allen Robinson. And Sully, we've had a big discussion on one of these guys, and the other guy is has been one of my favorite receivers for the past 4 seasons. So where are you going with this one?
Well, one of these guys is an elite wide receiver, and the other one's in my starting lineup this week, and that's Kadarius Toney.
Wow.
I just don't know how you start Allen Robinson when the Bears are throwing the ball 19 times a game. It's got nothing to do with Allen Robinson. He's still a great wide receiver, but you just look at it straight usage. Kadarius Toney's getting used, and Allen Robinson isn't.
Bryce.
Let's hope Allen Robinson comes to New England next year. But I'm going Allen Robinson still. I think this week I'm kind of projecting that this has got to be the week that Fields throws 35 plus times, and Allen Robinson's going to get a good amount of that volume along with Darnell Mooney. So it's kind of that do factor week for Allen Robinson this week. So I've been saying that about a couple of players, him and AJ Brown. So I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna stick Allen Robinson in there before I need to see Kadarius Toney at least be productive 2 weeks in a row before I start him over guys like this.
Yeah, and then, obviously Sully and I had a nice debate the other day about Kadarius Toney because neither of us were fans of him coming out, and I have watched him his first 2 weeks of getting serious action, and I just think the guy's electric. But I too am on the Robinson side here. I do think Chicago's going to have to throw the ball 30, 35 times in this game to have a shot, right? They're not going to do to Aaron Rodgers what the Saints did in week 1. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers ain't going to let that happen twice in 6 weeks. There's no way. So they're going to have to throw. But I will say that it is still a dangerous start, but it's got to change there in Chicago, and I think that's going to happen. And I do agree, while I do like what I've seen of Toney, I need to see just a little bit more. Chuba, Herbert, AJ Brown, or T. Higgins. This is Faria N over on YouTube. For me, I'm probably I like the Higgins matchup. I'm probably going Higgins here right now. It should be AJ Brown, but what the hell is going on there? And they have the tough matchup of the Buffalo Bills. So I'm probably going T. Higgins here and washing my hands. Sully, what about you?
Yeah, I'll go T. Higgins here as well, but don't be surprised if Chuba runs like crazy all over my Vikings today.
Yeah, that's why I'm going Chuba. I liked what I saw from him last week. He's explosive. He's not Christian McCaffrey, so nobody should expect that. But
right,
he's got the potential to put up 75% of what he does, and that's still 20 points every week. So I like Chuba Hubbard. He's involved in the pass game still. Yeah, I'm going to go him just because of he's got a great floor play, and I kind of like his ceiling over probably most of these guys as well.
I will say all 4 of these guys are good starts, so you've built good depth on your roster, so that's good to see. Everybody says CXK says everybody hit that like button. Get the likes up, everyone. CXK, great supporter of the channel. We love you. Much appreciated. Just so everybody knows, we do go straight down the line when we're asking or when we're answering these questions, unless you put in that super chat and drop that moolah. I can be paid off. Do
it for the money.
Kyle says, hey guys, I need help with my flex. Kadarius Toney, Jacoby Myers, Adam Thielen. I currently have Brandon Cooks and Justin Jefferson as wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. So, Bryce, which one of these guys are you throwing into the wide receiver 3 spot?
I'm going to stick with Adam Thielen here. I do like Jacoby Myers and Kadarius Toney, but again, to reiterate, I want to see it maybe another week from Toney. Let's see how he does as like the number 1 wide receiver on the field this week, more than likely. Jacoby just has little to no touchdown upside. It seems like you're probably better opportunity of him throwing one than catching one. And Adam Thielen's good for a touchdown. It seems like almost every week. So I'm gonna go him. I know you're probably asking this because you don't feel comfortable stacking 2 Viking wide receivers, but out of all the combos, they're definitely a top 3. I don't mind starting 2 players from each and every week. Sully?
Yeah, I think the Carolina Panthers defense is a bit of a myth. They shut down the Jets. They shut down an inconsistent Saints. They shut down the Texans. And then as they've started to play a little bit better of an opponent like Dallas and Philly, they've been exposed a little bit. Minnesota's really under the gun to do something on offense. For the last 2 weeks, they've really done nothing. And I think there's a really good opportunity for them to come out throwing and guns a-blazing here. Zimmer's trying to save his butt, to be plain and simple. So he needs to realize they need to throw the football. And Adam Thielen, to Bryce's point, is pretty safe. If there is a safe receiver out there, it's Adam Thielen. So I would go with Thielen here for sure.
This is a clean sweep. I'm with Thielen as well. And I also think that offense is just better when Dalvin Cook is on the field, and
it is.
That's looking good for today. So there you go. Thielen's going to score 2 touchdowns.
I'll take it.
Good morning, fellas. That bad man Aaron Rodgers or that young Hun Justin Herbert? I don't know who this was over on Facebook. You got that, Bryce?
Actually, I just turned it off to go look at that link you sent me.
That link was for after the show. Anyways, Sully, everybody want to know what that link is.
Yeah, I don't know what did I get that link? I don't know what's going on here.
I promise it doesn't end with a hub.
That's
I love Justin Herbert, but Aaron Rodgers in division games is a different cat than he is in non-division games. And Herbert and the Chargers are traveling all the way to Baltimore, and that's not exactly the most friendly environment. But then again, I ranked Herbert higher, so I'll stick with the kid, Justin Herbert.
That was a lot of twisting around to get there. I love it.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Trying to talk myself into a decision there.
It was an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Twist. Throw the twist at you.
Yeah. I don't know. This might depend on if Mike Williams plays. I don't know if these two games.
It looks like Williams is playing.
He's supposed to.
I'm probably sticking with Justin Herbert. I mean, it doesn't seem like any defense, at this point, he's just like a guy that you start every week, no matter the matchup. I mean, if I'm you, I need to find this person's name, but if I'm you, I'm looking to try and trade Aaron Rodgers at this point and stick with Justin Herbert the rest of the year. There's really no point in having both of these guys in a 1 QB.
That's the move
on my roster, but I'm going to go Justin Herbert here.
That is the move, because this is a question you're going to ask yourself every single week. I'm going Justin Herbert as well. It's not easy, but with the way that offense is humming, Chicago does have a decent defense. I don't think that's going to matter. I think Rodgers is going to put up points, but their points can come from, rushing touchdowns with Dillon and Jones, and there's really only one wide receiver you think is going to catch touchdowns. So, I like Herbert to throw for a few.
That was Castile always in here.
Castile is always with us Sunday mornings. Appreciate the support, man. Castile. Kyle over on YouTube says Moss or Javonte PPR. And then Tannehill, Darnold, or Heineke. Pick one out of those. So Moss or Javonte first. Who do you got, Sully?
I will go with Javonte. I do like Moss, but I think with Melvin Gordon's banged up and was almost looking like he wasn't going to play, which would have been great. But Javonte's going to have a week soon, and I think it's this week.
Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. It's Javonte out of those two for the same reasons Sully said. He's eventually going to take over. It's just kind of a matter of when.
Clean sweep again. There's 3 in a row. What's going on? Maybe this is where we'll be different.
Yeah,
Tannehill, Darnold, or Heineke. Bryce, you're going to go first on this one.
I'm going to go Heineke. I think this week's matchup is super great for him. I do like Taylor Heineke. I don't know if I like him long term in that solution as a quarterback, but I think for this week he's got the potential to put up his best, his career high against that weak Kansas City defense.
Sully.
Exactly the same. Can't say it any better than that. Kansas City is historically bad on defense right now. I'll go with Heineke.
I am going with Darnold. Heineke, and everybody's looking at this. And here's the thing with stats, right? You got to look at why stats are the way they are. Look at the schedule that Kansas City has played. Yes, they have given up a ton of points, but Heineke doesn't fit in with most of the teams that Kansas City has played thus far. I I don't know, with all the injuries on that offense, that I trust Washington to be able to keep pace with Kansas City. I think that the Carolina Vikings game could be a back and forth shootout.
Yeah.
And the Vikings defense isn't great either. So I'm going to go with Darnold here. He's got weapons, and I just like him better. Heineke does have that nice floor because of the rushing upside, but Mr. Darnold,
I was gonna say he's
just rushes for touchdowns all the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
He does.
Got a bunch
He
of
only
those,
runs when he scores, so that's not bad.
So Darnold it is for me. But I mean, I really do feel fine starting any of those quarterbacks.
I agree.
Kyle S says I'm in PPR. Oh, that was the Thielen question.
Right.
Hector says I need points. Kirk or Shepard. And this one is easy for me. Sterling Shepard it is. Sully.
It's Sterling Shepard as well. It's not as easy for me. I just can't trust Kirk. He's too inconsistent week to week. I am interested, however, to see how Shepard's going to be used in conjunction with Kadarius Toney in that offense.
Bryce.
Yeah, it's easily Shepard for me too. Kirk has got like that typical boomer bust kind of play where I think Shepard's a little bit more safe, and he still has that boom aspect to his, to his name. So I'm going to go Shepard here pretty easily.
Well said.
Bill says looking for help on either. Either or call CD Lamb or Jacoby Myers. The weekly rankings tell me it should be CD, but I keep thinking about this one. Set me straight. CD Lamb or Jacoby Myers? It is CD Lamb for me, fairly easily. I do like Jacoby from the volume standpoint, but I like CD Lamb. Multiple touchdown potential every week. We don't even know if we have touchdown potential out of Myers. So, Bryce, you're the Patriots fan. Are you going Myers over Lamb?
No, but I think it's closer than most people would think. I know this guy's looking at it like New England stops a team's best receiver, but I can't 100% assume that they're going to try and do it to CD. It could be Amari Cooper that they really focus on. I think CD gets J.C. Jackson on him, so he's going to have a lot of one-on-one, whereas Amari Cooper is going to have more of like a double team with the safety help over top. It sure wouldn't surprise me to see Jacoby Meyer put up more points than CD, and CD put up less than 10 this week just because of the matchup. I don't know why New England is really good at taking away a team's best receiver. They've done it so many times. It's hard to ignore, but I can't sit my stud in CD Lamb over Jacoby Myers.
Sully.
Yeah, it's CD Lamb for me as well. And to the point that Bryce made right at the end there, I can stomach Jacoby Myers going for 20 and being on my bench. I can't stomach CD Lamb going off and being on my bench. So I'm starting CD Lamb.
Pay says, how do we feel about Dalvin Cook this week? For me, it's this easy. If Dalvin Cook is healthy and not being held back at all, I feel good about him. No matter who they're playing, whatever the game is, he's game script independent. He can catch 8 balls out of the backfield to get you there that way. He can break off a long run against anybody, get you there that way. Dalvin Cook, if he's healthy, playing, I feel great about. Sully, you're the Vikings fan. You feel the same way?
Yeah, I do. I just don't see any scenario where Dalvin's dressed and on the field where he's not going to be in my lineup. I would have, as a Vikings fan, liked to see him not play this week and get an extra week and then go into the bye next week and then come out 100% because I don't think he is. But I'm not concerned at all in terms of fantasy with Dalvin Cook. He's locked and loaded in all of my lineups where I have him.
Bryce.
Yeah, I don't think the Vikings play Dalvin unless they think he's at least 90 to 95%. They've obviously seen Madison do just fine with Dalvin out, so why risk, injuring a star athlete like that, unless he was like pretty close to full go. So if he's playing, I feel really comfortable putting him in my weekly lineup.
Kyle says PPR starting T and Terry over Amari. Am I crazy? Also have Chuba at the flex. Bryce, it looked like you shook your head. You starting T. Higgins and Terry over Amari?
I don't think it's crazy. The problem is I think Amari has a good day today, right? I think, like I said it a few times now, CD is going to be the target of New England's defense, and I think that opens the door for Amari. But to say you're crazy over that is no, I don't think so. Amari, again, is like a boomer bust. It seems like he puts you 3 or 28. So whereas I feel like T and Terry don't – I mean, Terry is usually good for at least 10. T. Higgins the same, and Chuba also. I mean, I think those are all 3 of the safest plays out of those 4 players, where Amari probably has the highest ceiling neck and neck with Terry McLaurin. Sully?
I think of all of these gentlemen, I'm going to sit Higgins, but I like what you have here. You know, I don't think you can sit McLaurin, assuming he plays today, because I know he's kind of questionable going into the game. But again, great matchup in a team on an offense that has to throw like crazy to have a chance. I don't think Cincinnati needs to throw the ball a whole hell of a lot today. So I'm not really that enamored with Higgins in this matchup, and I have a tough time sitting Amari Cooper because I think he has that 100 yards and a touchdown upside on a week-to-week basis. So that's what I would do there.
Looks like we have a Marvin Jones Jr. touchdown to make that game a 10-10 game, right?
10-13.
No, 13-10.
10 okay. I don't get to watch. I got to run this shit.
Somebody's got to run the show.
Somebody's got to run it. Yeah, for me, the thing is, you know, if you start T over Amari, you're sacrificing ceiling for floor, I think. And that is 100% fine to do if you're in the right situation. But Amari is the most likely player out of all of these to put up a 30 spot. He's done it more consistently than anybody. Terry's probably pretty close. But that's the only thing. I think you can start any combination of these 4 players. Just if you sit Amari, you're just sacrificing the ceiling, but you're also avoiding the floor because we do know that is there. Kyle says thank you, and that is no problem. That's what we're here for. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. We'll be glad to answer them. Robinson says Chuba Hubbard or DeAndre Swift, and this one's Swift for me. I just think Swift's a better player. His usage is more predictable, and he could have 12 catches out of the backfield, which I love out of my PPR running backs. If it was standard, maybe that'd be a little bit different. But Sully, what do you think?
Yeah, it's DeAndre Swift for me, and format doesn't matter because even if it is standard, he's going to take those 12 catches for 60, 65 yards, and those 6.5 points are good too. So Swift for me.
Bryce.
Yeah, easily Swift. And Jamal Williams is a little banged up this week, so I don't know if that maybe increases Swift's workload. I could only assume it lean a little bit in that favor. So Swift pretty easily here.
M Nasty says full PPR. I need a flex spot. Kadarius Toney, Cortland Sutton, Damian Harris, or Emanuel Sanders. There are 2 that stick out to me, and that is Sutton and Sanders. Harris isn't even in the equation for me.
Yeah,
in a PPR league.
Playing.
What's that?
He might
I'm not
play.
sure Harris is going to play.
I think it came out and said that they think he's playing.
Okay.
That he should play, but either way, in a PPR with these options, I mean, it's hard for me not to play Emmanuel Sanders right now. He seems to be the favorite wide receiver on one of the best offenses in the league, and I didn't think this was going to happen. This is a guy that everybody thought was toast 2 years ago because he tore his Achilles, and here he is as an old man just putting up fantasy points. I don't know if he's drinking from the same jug as Tom Brady or what, but for me, I think it's between Sanders and Sutton, and I just trust Josh Allen more than I trust Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Lock if it came to that. So I'm going Emmanuel Sanders here, I think, which is kind of making me throw up in my mouth. But Bryce, which one are you going with?
I'm probably going to lean Cortland Sutton here. I do like Emanuel Sanders. He's been productive everywhere he's been throughout his entire career. He's now the commanding number 2, in my opinion, on that team at the wide receiver position behind Stephon Diggs. But Cortland Sutton's still the number 1. He's getting plenty of targets. He's getting touchdowns. So Sanders does have obviously more touchdown upside being on that team, but I just like Sutton better as the athlete, being the number 1. More than likely we'll see more targets. So I'm going to lean Sutton, but it's close. Sully?
Yeah, the same 2 jump out for me that jumped out for Rick. And the deciding factor for me is better quarterback in Buffalo and facing a Tennessee Titans defense that gives up more points to the opposing wide receivers than any other in the league. So I'm going to go Emmanuel Sanders here as well.
Sweaty says, just got Henry for Kelsey and Cup, win or lose. So it looks like he got Derrick Henry and gave up Travis Kelsey and Cooper Cup. I think he paid too much. That's my opinion. I would have stuck with Kelsey and Cup. Bryce, what do you think?
If this is redraft, I would like to see who you're plugging in your lineups when you got rid of Kelsey and Cup. Because, I mean, if you're taking more than likely a major upgrade at running back, and you're able to maybe put in some really another valuable tight end, like maybe you had Dalton Schultz on your bench every week. Maybe you had like a Chase Claypool on your bench every week, and you're kind of plugging them in your lineup, and you upgraded that big at running back. I don't think it's crazy, but I agree overall in a vacuum that you probably paid too much. You paid the number 1 tight end and arguably a top 3 fantasy wide receiver for this year for Derrick Henry. So I'd like to see the rest of that lineup after that trade. But yeah. Sully.
I've been screaming from the top of the Derrick Henry sell mountain all off season, and I'm still up there. And I understand that he's not human and all these other things, and he's on pace for 530 touches. When the end comes for Derrick Henry, it's not going to be gradual. It's going to be absolutely sudden. And I think it's still coming. You have the top tight end, and like Bryce said, a top 3 wide receiver. I would prefer to have the Kelsey and Cup side of this, regardless of the format, dynasty or redraft.
Dynasty for sure, yeah.
Jacoby Myers or Robbie Anderson. Nettie, hopefully I said that right, needs our help over there on YouTube. Jacoby Myers or Robbie Anderson. Sully, where are you going with this one?
I think Jacoby Myers finally is the answer. He's been in a few today. He gets targets and he's getting catches. And I don't know what's going on with Robbie Anderson in Carolina. I figured Sam Darnold would be great for him, but it appears it isn't. So it's Jacoby for me.
Bryce.
Yeah, I think we're going to get Jacoby Meyer questions until
he scores a touchdown, which means we'll get them until we get them till 2043.
Yeah, until the season's over. But it's Jacoby Meyer pretty easily here for me. I mean, Robbie Anderson has just been extremely disappointing after an amazing season last year. But this is easily Meyer's volume is there. So, and Robbie Anderson just isn't doing anything. So, Rick.
I do predict Robbie Anderson's breakout week to be this week. He's one of my favorite DFS plays. They are trying to get this going, right? They've upped the targets I think he's got 18 targets the last 2 weeks, but they're doing what the Jets did with him for a while and just ran him straight down the field. It seems funny because Carolina last year at the beginning of the year, used him on all kinds of routes. And he was very productive to start off the year last year. And then it was just like they woke up one day and they were like, you know what? We should just run Robbie deep. And whenever we target him, just heave it up. And that hasn't worked out. And hopefully they get back to using him more like they did at the beginning of last year, because he looked damn good when they did that. But I can't start him over Jacoby Myers right now. So, I'll take Jacoby's 8 to 10 targets and 60 yards and, hopefully get 12 points out of him. Anderson's either going to be 3 or 18 this week or something. But I pretty much know where Myers is going to end up, right? Brandon Ayuk done for fantasy? ? Joseph wants to know. He was just dropped in my league. Also, what's up with New England running backs? Is Stevenson worth an ad? Okay, so I've said this many times. I ran a poll on it on Twitter a couple months ago. But when was the last time you put a New England running back in your lineup and felt good about it? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I felt good. Even James White, right, was up and down, and some weeks he was used a ton and some he wasn't. I just don't remember the last time I put a running back in my lineup from New England and felt confident about it. So Stevenson is worth an ad, I will say. And then when it comes to Brandon Ayuk, if somebody's going to drop him, I would definitely pick him up. We don't know what's going to happen at quarterback with the 49ers. Garoppolo's hurt. Wentz seems to be hurt. So don't know what's going to happen there, but they need Brandon Ayuk to play at least closer to what he did last year with everybody out. Obviously Kittle's been hurt. So Ayuk needs to be on a roster. He doesn't need to be in a starting lineup at this point. That's my thoughts on the whole thing. Sully, what are you thinking?
I think if you piss Kyle Shanahan off, it's not a good thing to do. So Brandon Ayuk did something in this leading up to this season. I don't know what it is, but I'm absolutely picking him up if he's sitting there on the waiver wire in my league. To your point about New England running backs, it's difficult to trust them. It's also that much more difficult to trust a rookie running back. Belichick has historically almost redshirted his freshmen, other than Sony Michel. You look at what Harris did in his rookie year, J.J. Taylor, and on and on. So, yeah, I'll pick up Ramondre because Harris is banged up and he might get some run here, but I don't see myself starting him, certainly not starting him comfortably. But, yeah, I think both those guys need to be rostered 100% for sure.
Bryce.
The last time a New England running back was in your lineup and you felt good was when LeGarrette Blount was playing. So
that one season of LeGarrette Blount where it seemed like he scored at least a touchdown every single
Didn't
week.
He score like over 20 times that year?
He led the league. He led the league in rushing touchdowns that year.
He just scored a bunch, but that was it. That was all he did. He just scored
1.2 yards per carry and 20.
He had 40. Yeah, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like almost seemed like almost every week.
It was nuts.
For one week. Yeah, but Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is going to get the bulk of the touches today. Damian Harris has fumbled too many times. I can't believe he hasn't. He must have some sort of special treatment because he hasn't been put in the doghouse like Ramondre was week 1 or J.J. Taylor was a couple weeks ago. So with Damian Harris banged up and he fumbled on literally like on the goal line last week, I think Stevenson gets the bulk of the touches. But with that being said, Brandon Bolden's the best play today at running back for that team. So is he worth an ad? I don't know. It would depend who I'm dropping because I could just end up dropping him right back because it seems like they really do love Damian Harris. Fair. So, and Brandon Ayuk, I'm going to add him. He's an athlete, but like Sully said, something's going on there that we don't know about. But he's got obviously the talent and he produced last year as a rookie. So I'll pick him up and stash him on my bench, hoping maybe he comes back to that same production we saw last year.
Antonio Brown over on YouTube says, I have to start Amon-Ra St. Brown at the flex. Am I screwed? This is what I would say. If you're comfortable starting Jacoby Myers, you should be comfortable starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. I feel like they're literally right now the identical player, bunch of targets, probably 60 to 80 yards, and neither of them are probably going to find the end zone. But if you're in a PPR, that's pretty solid. Bryce, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, if you feel screwed, then I feel screwed, right? Because I've got him in my flex spots in a couple of leagues, and actually, I feel pretty comfortable with it. I think this dude he's got some speed too, so he's got a little bit of big play potential. I like him on Ross St. Brown, so no, you're not screwed. I think you see a potential of like minimum 10 points all the way up to 20 this week. I wouldn't expect anything crazy, but yeah, Sully.
I don't think you're screwed at all. And I think one of the major factors you're not screwed is Detroit's terrible. So the garbage time equation is always there for you. So if they go prevent later in the game and it's wide open across the middle of the field, it's Amon-Ra that's going to have 6-7 catches on the final drive for 65 yards. So no, I'm not worried about him at all. I think even in a competitive game, he can get you 5 for maybe 50. And I think he can score. In fact, I'd be willing to $5 bet that Amon-Ra St. Brown scores his first touchdown before Jacoby Myers does.
All right,
yeah,
we're gonna
take that bet too.
we're gonna finish off. He down
Right.
here a little bit. He asked another question. We're gonna just do this at once. He says that he forgot to add up there, but is Mike Davis droppable? I'm not exactly ready to ban it shit, but I also don't know if I'm holding hope for no reason. Listen, last year there were 2 running backs that scored at least 10 fantasy points in every single start. That gave you a floor every time you put them in your lineup. Mike Davis is not winning you weeks right now, but he's not losing you weeks. He has scored at least 10 PPR points in every game. This guy should be on a roster, and he should be in most starting lineups unless you're just stacked. He gives you a floor. The ceiling is Cordarrelle Patterson right now. And if Mike Davis gets into the end zone in a game, he's probably going to score you 15 to 18 points. So no, do not drop Mike Davis. Most weeks, he's gonna be a good fit in your lineup because buys are here now. That's my take there. Bryce, you thinking the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. For every reason you just said. I mean, dude provides a great floor, but Cordarrelle Patterson is just that ceiling. So yeah, don't drop Mike Davis. He's a good asset, and running backs are hard to come by. So, Sully.
Nothing to add there. You guys are 100% correct. Hang on to him.
Those 2 running backs last year were James Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings.
I listen to you.
And James Robinson's damn good, isn't he? Is he putting up any stats today?
I don't know, but I need him to.
You cursed Dalvin Cook. You cursed Dalvin Cook that one week where you said he's put up a minimum every week, and then he got below 10 that one game. I noticed that.
Robinson's not having the greatest day. 7 for 22 in the first half and 1 catch for 11 yards.
Miles Gaskins has 0.8 fantasy points.
So basically, everybody in the backfield that we thought would score points isn't.
My day's already off to an awesome start.
Until you know what, I don't hold anything against any Jaguar player until Urban Meyer is gone.
That'll be a couple hours from now.
Robert says, I need a flex in PPR. Sterling Shepard, Chase Edmonds, Amon Ross, St. Brown. For me, it's Sterling Shepard, then Amon, and then Chase. That'd be the order I would go in. Sully, what do you think?
Same order as that you just said. Absolutely. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. Sterling Shepard pretty easily here. The next 2 are pretty close, but I'd probably lean St. Brown for number 2.
Our great friend from Front Yard Fantasy, Josh Fuster, is in the chat. Says, hope everyone is having a good morning. If you are not following Front Yard Fantasy on YouTube, make sure you type it in after the show. Hit the subscribe button and tune in. I will be on there Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, ranking some wide receivers. So make sure to get over and do that. Sports Front Yard Fantasy, great content they've got going on over there. Angel says, do I start Claypool and Metcalf? Claypool and Mike Williams, or Mike Williams and Metcalf? Sounds like we're starting 2 out of Claypool, Metcalf, and Mike Williams. Mike Williams is the one that I think you have to start. Obviously, the injury is a little scary. And then DK Metcalf would be number 2 for me. And then he says, do I start Hunt and Alex Collins, or Hunt and Moss, or Hunt
and Pollard?
Pick one between Collins, Moss, and Pollard.
Okay, start. Okay, let's do the wide receivers first. Claypool, Metcalf, and Williams. Who are you starting, Sully?
I'm starting Chase Claypool and DK Metcalf. I'm worried that Williams doesn't get through that game.
Yep.
Bryce.
I agree. The Mike Williams, last I saw him being a game time decision, and then now he's expected to play. That's a little worrisome for me, whereas the other 2 dudes are completely healthy. Geno Smith targeted Metcalf a lot when he first came into that game. I would continue to keep expecting that. Chase Claypool, with one of the other receivers out, either Johnson or Juju, has put up 18 plus 2 weeks this year. His targets go up. His production goes up. I'm expecting him to be consistently above 15 almost every week. So I'm going to go Metcalf and Claypool here.
Like I said, I'm going Mike Williams and Metcalf. If Mike Williams is in a game this year, I'm starting him. He's got the Mike Thomas role in a great offense. I'm going that route. But I don't argue. I mean, that's 3 good options to have. Okay, so Hunt, Alex Collins, Pollard, 2 of the 3. Bryce.
So, yeah, Hunt is obvious. I'm going to go Alex Collins here. He's the only guy that I think he gets more touches than the rest of these these guys here with Chris Carson out. So Hunt and Alex Collins.
And just to make sure, it's Hunt, Collins, Moss, Pollard. So there was 4 of those, just so you know.
Yeah.
Collins and Hunt is what Bryce said. Sully, where are you going?
I'm just looking. Who's Seattle playing? Pittsburgh. It's Hunt for absolute sure with Chubb not playing. And it comes down to Collins and Pollard for me here, and I will lean towards Alex Collins because he's been my BFF even when he was in prison.
Sully did write letters to Alex Collins when he was in prison, and I think we have a TikTok to make.
It's not a conjugal visit, I'll tell you that.
I'm going Hunt and Pollard here. I also like Collins, but I don't really like that matchup, and I like that we'll probably see Pollard get some receptions. So
is there not a possibility, and maybe there's no flex spots, but isn't there a possibility to start all 3 of those wide receivers and 2 of those running backs?
I mean, I have no idea. I'm not in this league. I don't know how the starting.
That's what I would want.
Rotation goes. Josh says, I like Robbie as a DFS play for sure, but I don't trust him at all. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about DFS. We don't have to trust these guys. We just hope they score a bajillion points, or if they get 0, then
if the Vikings put Breeland on them, cha-ching.
Cha-ching. Help. I'm 2nd overall in my league. Okay, so Angel,
I get it now.
We come down the list in order, so we promise to get to your questions for sure. I see that you asked it again down even lower. I'm 2nd overall in my league, and I'm playing the number 1 team in my league. I already started Chris Godwin. Unfortunately, he has unhealthy 9.3. Yeah, you luckily all these receivers that you put in your question have upside, right? Like we would not be surprised if Claypool scored 2 touchdowns and had 100 yards and scored you close to 30 points, and same with any of the other receivers. So luckily you have the upside. Hopefully that helped you out, but just so everybody knows, we do go in order, and we will get to your question, we promise. But it's first come, first serve, unless you're going to pay us, and the super chats down there we'll definitely be happy for any donations to the cause.
I'd also say here really quickly that it's obviously, you want to win every week and you want to beat that number 1 team, but don't worry about losing in week 6. Win the last week of your year. Don't worry about week 6. If you don't win, you don't win. It's fine. You're still a good team. You're 2nd overall. You'll be fine.
Here's a question for you. Devontae Booker or Josh Jacobs? Which one you starting there, Sully?
I am starting Josh Jacobs pretty easily, to be honest. I understand the need or the desire to want to play Booker, but Booker's not Saquon Barkley. It's Jacobs for me.
Bryce.
I probably would have said Booker if it was Mike Glennon playing, but Daniel Jones does not like to check the ball down, and that's how Booker got a lot of his points in that last game with Mike Glennon in there, was a lot of check downs. And so I'm going to go Josh Jacobs pretty easily here as well. But I don't mind putting Booker in my lineups this week if bye weeks or injuries affected your team. Rich?
Yeah, I think Booker's definitely a startable asset, but I feel like Josh Jacobs is going to just get a ton of usage and is a better runner, but we've seen Booker be productive when given the opportunity over the last 2 years. So, it is what it is. I'm going Josh Jacobs as well. Nettie says, thank you, fellas. No problem at all. Who was that on Facebook that asked that last question, Bryce?
That was Castilian.
Yep. Thomas says, look at this Sunday lineup from Roto Heat. Rick, Bryce, and Sully. Yes, sir. We're here. Reinvigorated after a week off.
If I'm reinvigorated.
Sully had a good night. That we already talked about that. About that. Robert says, thank you. No problem, Robert. Gillard. I don't know how to say the name. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Would you rather have Ertz or Dallas Goddard? Now, this is actually a question that makes a lot of sense with Ertz being traded to Arizona. For me, I wanted Dallas Goddard before. Now I really want Dallas Goddard with Zach Ertz out of the equation. Bryce, what do you think about Ertz versus Dallas Goddard?
Yeah, Dallas Goddard pretty easily here for me as well. Max Williams is not going to disappear. So
Yeah, he is because he's on IR. I think he's out for the
well,
year.
once he comes back, I'm thinking once he comes, he's not out for the year, is he, right?
I'm pretty sure he's out for the year.
Torn ACL.
He is going to disappear.
Max Williams is going to be disappearing this year. But even then, I'm still going to go Dallas Goddard. He's just a better player. Ertz is older. He's a reliable guy, but he just doesn't have the spark that Goddard has. He's younger. He's more athletic.
What are we
going to pick?
James Robinson touchdown. Sorry.
There we go. Get to 10 points. Make me look smart.
Yeah, I did. I'm going Dallas Goddard here. Sully?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas Goddard as well. And I think it's very interesting. Zach Ertz is very intriguing in that offense, but it's an offense that historically hasn't really used the tight end at all until this year with Max Williams. Now, if Max Williams was healthy and Zach Ertz was there, I still think Zach Ertz is probably the better option at tight end. So if they were using Max Williams, they're probably going to use Zach Ertz, and they made this trade for a reason. So it's going to be close because you have the better quarterback in Arizona, but I would lean Dallas Goddard.
We had this talk Friday night, and I said there's a difference between a Kyler Murray target and a Jalen Hurts target, right? One of them's more valuable than the other. But I just think, Goddard was already a fantasy relevant tight end with Zach Ertz in the picture. Zach Ertz wasn't always relevant with Dallas Goddard in the picture.
Right.
And I just think that Ertz leaving with the volume that he had been getting this year opens up, because they need Goddard because of the way that offense works right now. Smith is not getting open at a pace that you would hope from your top draft pick from this year. And the funny thing is Jalen Reagor is, which it's like
Hurts is missing him.
But and there was Hurts throws to him on those 2 PIs the other night weren't terrible either. And there was a PI on Reagor that wasn't called. So there was a 45-yard PI called on a target to Reagor and a 55-yarder or a 50-yarder. There's like 95 yards and PIs to him. And then another one where the defender came over Rager's back on a one that he should have caught or could have caught. But anyways, it's just that offense is weird. And Dallas Goddard is the one that kind of pulls that all together. The tight end spot just in general, because those are the high frequency targets that they can actually complete consistently. And I think that helps the whole offense. And Dallas Goddard's just more talented at this point than Ertz. But yeah, the answer is not Max Williams.
No,
he's disappearing.
He's gone. Sorry,
I must have not seen that one.
Who should I start? Sam Darnold or Carson Wentz? Full PPR. Thank you. Irv Gotti over there on YouTube. And Sully, it looked like you don't really like this question, so I'm going to you first.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. I'm just trying to see who Indianapolis is playing.
Houston.
Oh, boy. That's the gift that keeps on giving. I like both these guys, and I don't think you can go wrong here. I think what Rick was talking about earlier with Sam Darnold is bang on. He'll have a good day against Minnesota, and he'll probably use his legs a little bit. But Carson Wentz really impressed me last week. He looked really, really good, kind of picking apart a defense that I think is superior to the one that he's going to face today. So I'll go with Carson Wentz here. Divisional game, too. It's a little bit of added juice.
Bryce.
I'm going with Sam Darnold. I think, again, that game might be a shootout. Carson Wentz did look good last week, but maybe hadn't looked good in the past. So I want to see him maybe do it another week or so. And it seems like he and Darnold have like similar rushing upsides at this point, where Darnold is running it in. It seems like every time they get inside the 10-yard line. I'll take those rushing touchdowns with the superior weapons that he has at his disposal.
I'm going Sam Darnold too. I don't think that the weapons are that superior. Because right now it's literally just DJ Moore though. And I will say that even though I kind of mocked Zach Pascal earlier, like he's good for his role, what he's in. And then Michael Pittman, I think he's really good. And then with Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, I do think that the Colts have options. Obviously we've seen Taylor not get touched on a 76-yard touchdown reception the other night. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think there's talent on both of those offenses.
T.Y. Hilton's career numbers against Houston are insane. Not that really matters anymore.
What
but
was that?
T.Y. Hilton has owned Houston in his career, and not that I think he's the same player, but it's something to think about as well.
So basically, he owned them when he was Bryce's age, but now he's Sully's age, and I don't know if
that's very well put.
Robinson Nelson over on YouTube says, should I trade Mike Evans for a true number 1 wide receiver? I have DK Metcalf and Jamar Chase already. Mike Evans is a true wide receiver 1. He is going to be a little bit up and down, but he's going to have some big weeks, and he's been more consistent this year. If you want to trade him, I understand, because that just how that Tampa Bay offense works. And if, Gronk comes back, there's a 4th option in there. But I have zero problems myself putting Mike Evans in my lineup every single week. But if I could go out right now, and I'll ask you guys this, if you could go out right now and trade Mike Evans for Michael Thomas, and you felt like you could, make it through a couple more weeks without Michael Thomas, would you be willing to make that trade? Bryce, I'll go to you. No,
I don't think so. Michael Thomas kind of lost my trust last year. It seemed like he was always going to come back, and he didn't. I just, like you said, Mike Evans is a number 1 receiver. Week 1 and now this past week are his only like really bad weeks. So he does have like that up and down, like you said. I mean, I trust in that offense. AB is my favorite player to start every week over Evans and Godwin. These questions are a little difficult because it's what's the rest of your team look like? Who are you going to try and target and things like that? So it's hard to kind of gauge. I don't believe in a player being not tradable, right? Everybody's tradable, and I'd be willing to move. But Mike Evans being your number 3 wide receiver is fantastic on your roster.
Pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah. So, again, if you can find a guy that you like better to trade for, do it. But if not, I don't feel bad sitting Mike Evans, but I'm not trading him for Michael Thomas personally. Sully?
I'm not making that trade either. I agree that Mike Evans is a number 1 wide receiver. And if I'm going to trade Mike Evans, I'm not going to trade him for another wide receiver. I'm already doing pretty darn good here with DK Metcalf and Jamar Chase. I'm willing to bet that the weaker part of your roster is probably at the running back position based on where you most likely had to draft these players. So I'm going to hold on to Mike Evans, but if I'm going to move him, if I want to move him, because there are going to be up and down weeks in that Tampa offense. There's only, so many targets guys can get when there's that much talent in that offense. But I'm targeting to upgrade a different position because I don't want to say I'm set at wide receiver, but I'm pretty comfortable there.
I'm making that. I would make that trade. Michael Thomas is going to be a difference maker when he comes back. We can see that offense and the way it is. And talking about last year and the injuries for Michael Thomas, I feel like Michael Thomas kind of got screwed, and that's why he was pissed off. And when that came out, Sean Payton kind of shut up about it, right? Because it seemed like the Saints wanted Michael Thomas to play through that injury because it was Drew Brees' last hurrah. And that's what Michael Thomas was pissed about, because they blamed him and they wanted him to stick around and play through that, and it messed up his injury even more. So I think when he gets back, this is going to be a guy that goes back to being one of the most consistent floor and ceiling combination wide receivers in the league. So that would be something that I would do. That'd be like the only wide receiver that I do it for, just because I think he's hurt. People are down on him right now. And while I do like Mike Evans, I like Mike Thomas even more. But it is a risky play as well. But Mike Evans is fine to throw in there.
Hey, Rick, real quick, I don't know if this matters to many, but Tyson Williams is inactive again today.
What is going on? I don't get why he must just be terrible.
They get Le'Veon Bell in the lineup again. It's probably
he just must be terrible at pass blocking, right? That's literally the only reason why you would have those guys active over Tyson Williams. They're just not as good as Tyson Williams running the ball.
I agree.
Someone dropped OBJ. Should I pick up and drop Kenny Galladay? So Kenny Galladay or Odell Beckham Jr. rest of season. Sully, who you taking?
I think the natural easy thing is OBJ, but I'm not sure that's the right answer. But the fact that Odell is healthy and in the lineup is why I will take him. Kenny Galladay struggles to stay healthy and be on the field, so I got to go with the healthy asset here.
Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. It's OBJ pretty easily. I think Kenny Galladay benefited so heavily from Matthew Stafford. I think he's good, but I don't think he's as good as like people thought he was, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go OBJ.
Yeah, I'm going with OBJ too, but there has to be something said. For some reason, him and Baker can't get on the same page, and it's weird because OBJ keeps getting open. He has zero problems getting open, but for whatever reason, they just cannot connect. I'm going with OBJ. Hopefully, they get that figured out. But it is 2 wide receivers that we're hoping they could count on this year that have not done a whole lot for their managers. Stafford versus Giants or Herbert versus Ravens. Vertical Yeti has to know. Who are you going with, Bryce?
I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. The dude just produces every single week. I don't think it matters the matchup. Mike Williams is projected to play. Hopefully he stays in the whole game. Herbert's a start every week for me at this point. Sully?
I agree. I think they're both a very nice play this week. I think both could be top 10 quarterbacks, but Herbert would get the nod for me as well.
Herbert for me as well. Good spot to be in. I would probably trade one of these guys, whoever you can get the most out to help the rest of your lineup so that you don't have to make this decision every week. Because both of them are definitely weekly starters. Just take it easy on yourself. Bryce, we have one from Facebook. Who's this? In a tough spot at running back this week. Pick 2.5 PPR. Khalil Herbert, Devin Singletary, Damian Harris, Jamal Williams. Rick, you don't have to answer since I'm playing you this week. And this should
Joe
narrow
Lindsay.
I was going to say this should narrow it down, but I am in so many leagues that I don't know who I'm playing and where. Joe Lindsay doesn't want me to answer. Sully, pick 2 of those. Which one's you playing?
I am playing Herbert and Williams.
Bryce.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Khalil Herbert's the easiest one here. Damian Harris is rarely going to be your answer. Same with Singletary. Jamal Williams is a little banged up, but he's playing.
He is active.
He gets a decent amount of touches, and he is, he's pretty efficient. So, Williams and Herbert for me. Rick. He's good. Singletary and Harris.
Yeah.
I do think Harris is viable in this format in the league that we're in. Being the 0.5 PPR and the way the scoring is for the rest of the offense, I could see starting Harris over Jamal Williams. But Khalil Herbert's the smash, and then after that, it's kind of a pick your poison because Singletary's not involved in the Bills' offense, right? Like he's still getting carries. Harris is probably the safest option just because he probably will get close to 20 carries. And that. So I'm going to hate seeing Khalil Herbert go off, but it doesn't matter. My team's too good. You can't beat me anyway. I ain't worried about it. And I even have Saquon out. Phantom Beast says pick 1 for flex. Renfro versus Broncos, Julio versus Bills, Latavius Murray versus Chargers, full PPR. The answer is Renfro for me. Julio. I wish I knew what this Tennessee offense looked like with a healthy AJ Brown and a healthy Julio, right? Because Julio's probably the popular answer here. Renfro's the safe answer. It's not Latavius Murray. That'd be where I'm at. Sully?
It is not Latavius Murray, and I will give Julio the slight nod over Renfro just because I think Julio is going to be targeted more because Tennessee is going to have to throw a lot.
Valid point. Julio is the guy that I would start there. Bryce.
Yeah, clean sweep. Julio for me as well.
That is such a fantasy's weird this year, right? Like we're literally sitting here debating Julio Jones or Hunter Renfrow.
I was a year early on Hunter Renfrow. I liked him last year, and everybody told me I was.
I like the volume, right? He's the same as Jacoby Myers, Amon St. Ross St. Brown, Amon whatever.
That guy too.
How long do you think Saquon Barkley is going to be out?
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 to 3, I think. Such a freak, stupid injury, too.
I do that when I'm walking my trash out to the curb. Roll your ankle like that.
So then do you make the wife take it out for the next 2 to 3 weeks or what?
I just walk it off. I could play. His thing swelled up real bad, but I don't know. I think if they thought he was at least going to be out 3 weeks, they would have just threw him on the IR.
Well, we would like to think that, but have you paid attention to Carolina recently?
True.
Jesus, they sit him out for 3 weeks and then say, "Oh, I guess we'll put him on."
I tried to trade for Christian McCaffrey in redraft like the week he got injured, and man, I'm glad because I'd be in a real tough spot if I would have made that trade.
What?
Well, the guy's like, he'll be back soon. No counter, nothing. Just got all.
It's almost like half the management in the NFL doesn't realize that they changed the IR rule, and then they figure it out, and they're like, "Oh, because you're right. Like, what the hell with McCaffrey? Like, don't put him on IR now.
Yeah,
put him on IR a week or two ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe he re-aggravated something. We don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they say that he didn't, but I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Laura needs her help. Flex spot: Dalton Schultz or Jacoby Myers. I'm going Jacoby Myers myself. I will typically pick the wide receiver over the tight end, but I could see somebody going the opposite direction here. Sully, which one are you going with?
I want to say Dalton Schultz, but I think it's a volume play again. The only way Dalton Schultz is the answer here is if he scores, which is very possible. But I will go Jacoby Myers. It's tight though; it's close. It's definitely worth a couple of thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Jacoby here as well. I'm projecting pretty decent weeks from both of these players, but Jacoby is just like Rick said. I'll go with the wide receiver. I think he sees more volume.
Ricky Spanish says Tony Pollard or Jamal Williams. Which one you going with, Bryce?
I'm going with Tony Pollard. Even though I think this game will be close. Just like New England rarely gets blown out unless they're just getting crazy turnovers or the Saints game. There was like just a lot of unfortunate things that happened that made that game worse than it really was. They're going to keep this close. I think that Tony Pollard is going to be pretty involved along with Zeke. Dallas is very balanced this year. We're not going to see the same Dak we saw the first 4 weeks of last year where they're having to throw 50 times. They're going to take that same route they took when they made it to the NFC title game, and they're going to be kind of trying to do 60-40, 50-50 with run pass. Tony Pollard is going to be get 10 to 15 touches, I think, on a weekly basis, and he's got way more upside than Jamal Williams on the Lions. Sully?
I think you're right, but there's always the revenge game angle. And I think if there's a possibility that Detroit can score today, they're going to want it to be Jamal Williams. But I'm also taking Tony Pollard.
Right. It's true.
Tony Pollard. Everything that I could say has been said, so we'll leave it at that. Joseph says, I dropped Stevenson for Ayuk right now. I hope it works out. I would do that.
Oh, yeah.
Myself.
Yeah.
I would do that for sure.
Absolutely.
And we also hope that it works out for you. We want you to win. And then that is it that I have for questions. A bunch of news came in. Tyreek Hill is active. We had Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin active. T.Y. Hilton active. Dalvin Cook active. There was another one that I forget because I had a bunch and then I accidentally wiped them off my screen. Basically, everybody
Daniel Jones is active.
I did not see that one. Basically, everybody that was questionable seems to be active right now.
Mixon
Tyreek, was the other one.
Mixon, Tyreek, Terry McLaurin, Gibson, T.Y. Hilton, Mike Williams, Kadarius Toney, and Jalen Smith are all active today. Darius Slayton is going to miss his third straight game today.
Darius Slayton is out. So Darius Slayton is the only one that's really out. Okay, we got Sanja, Amari Cooper, or Marquis Brown today. Marquis Brown. I just want people to go back and look since he returned in week 14 of last year, what this guy has done at the wide receiver position. He has been one of the best, one of the most consistent wide receivers in the NFL over that course of time. It is, and that is with a game where he scored 8 points and dropped 3 touchdowns. This guy has been very, very good since coming back. And I think he actually has the most help today that he's had in his career, with Rashad Bateman making his debut as a Baltimore Raven. Marquis Brown for me over Amari Cooper. It's crazy. You have good wide receivers if you can't start both. Bryce, what are you thinking?
This is my dad asking on my mom's profile.
Oh, really? I see the phrase. I didn't even look.
This league we're in, like, it's 10 man, you 1 QB. Like, everyone has crazy depth, it seems like. And yeah, you need to make sure you have Hunt and Swift in your lineup again this week as well, because he sits Swift for some reason. But it's Marquis Brown. You got to put him in your lineup. He's the better player. He's got a higher ceiling than Amari Cooper and a higher floor at this point, in my opinion.
I would not disagree with that. And everybody knows I'm a big Amari Cooper fan, but I've become a big Marquis Brown fan, and I was not a fan of his coming out. So I will say that. Sully, where are you at?
Just for fun, I'm going to go with Amari Cooper, and it's not because of anything that anyone said that was wrong about Marquis Brown, but the Chargers are a legit defense, and I think that one of these receivers is going to have a big day for Dallas, and I think it's Amari. So that's why I'm going. But there's no wrong answer here.
Yeah, in this league, went into last week's Monday night game down 100 points, and with the scoring, I had Lamar and Mark Andrews, so I end up
and you won
against him. Yeah, so it was pretty.
That's rough.
I had a league where I was up 85 points and lost. I was like, unreal. Whatever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for me in DraftKings league because I had Taylor, Lamar, and Marquis Brown in my lineup. So Monday night I went from like 107 points to 223.
Did you have that lineup in Joe's league?
Yeah. I got first in Joe's league last week with 223 points.
You and I did this because I was like third in the early slate, and then I ended up like 58th. So
that league's so much fun. Hopefully you're having fun in that league.
Not really, no, but I'm learning.
Well, so if you would start showing up to like the calls on Saturday night.
I can't do everything, man.
Well, I mean, we're trying to help you.
I know. I appreciate it.
Davis Mills or Geno Smith. What a question, guys. This is 2020.
This is what I like to see.
We thought 2020 was weird, but we are seriously debating Davis Mills and Geno Smith in 2021, and this is a real issue that people have. Who's the Facebook user?
This is Sprague.
Sprague? You? Sprague. This dude's like messaging me, making sure like sending me messages on every platform right now, making sure I check a lineup for some reason. Geno for me, running upside and
the weapons.
Yeah. Anybody say no?
No, that's
no.
All I had.
But was anybody else surprised that he was still in the league when Russell Wilson got hurt?
I looked at him on side. I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's that dude that got punched in the face by his teammate." I forgot about Geno.
That's right,
Geno. We talked about this last night. In the Discord call because I like Geno as a prospect. I thought Geno was a good prospect, but man, the Jets have ruined a lot of players. I feel like
Urban Meyer might not be.
Who was Tua throwing that to, Bryce?
I could see you couldn't see it in that camera angle, but Jalen Waddle, he just needed a little more air, and he probably would have got it to Waddle.
Okay,
but that was
one of the ugliest interceptions I've seen.
He just threw a dart right to the dude.
What's the score?
17-13 Jacksonville, and they're probably Jacksonville's looking good right now.
Yeah, Urban Meyer might be around for another week.
I still think he gets canned even if they win.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Jalord says, rate my team. QB, Ertz, Russell. Running back, Booker, Henry, Barkley. Wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, DK Metcalf, Waddle, Kenny Galladay and Sutton, tight end Kittle and Ertz, any adjustments needed? I think you're in a good spot. You just need health, right? Like Barkley being hurt. Galladay would add some nice depth if he could get healthy. Kittle needs to get healthy for you, and I think you've got a team that I would assume would compete in your league. So I don't think there's anything glaring. It's just getting healthy, staying healthy, and you're going to be fine there. I think that's a very good roster. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Ertz getting traded probably helped out that tight end position while Kittle's out for a while. You got Saquon's handcuff, so like Rick said, once you get some of those other wide receivers and Russell back, you'll be sitting pretty good.
I mean, right now, Hurts, as long as he's starting, is fine. But how long is he going to keep that job? Right? I told the story the other day. Thursday night, and actually Sprague, we just answered his question. I was 4-1 in one of my $250 leagues, and I had not scored 10 points from the quarterback or the tight end position this year, and I was 4-1. So all I needed was some quarterback points. So I ended up trading, and it makes me sick, Rashad Bateman, and got Jalen Hurts and Hunter Henry from Sprague. So it's not a trade that I love, but it's a trade that my team needed, right?
This is super flex dynasty?
No, it's a 1 QB.
Oh, 1 QB, okay.
But I started Ryan Fitzpatrick week 1, gets hurt, scores like 0.7 points. Dalton week 2, gets hurt, scores like 6 points. Fields 3, 4, and 5, where he didn't score 10 fantasy points in any of those games. But I was still 4-1. But I trade for Hurts, right? And then through one half of the game the other night, I'm like, oh my God, this might be the last game that this fucker plays. And I just traded Rashad Bateman. And then obviously he scores a couple rushing touchdowns later, scores 26 points. And my team's off to a good start because I had Jalen Hurts, Lenny Fournette, and Antonio Brown going in that lineup. So pretty good start. But man, I thought I traded Bateman and like completely torched myself there.
Well, Hunter Henry's playing great right now too. So
but I helped the two positions I needed the most, right? Because I start Aaron Jones, Lenny Fournette, and Joe Mixon when he's healthy at running back. And then I've got Antonio Brown, Tyler Lockett, Allen Robinson, Tyreek Hill, and Manny Sanders at wide receiver. So like I didn't need Bateman for this year. And if my team was going to make a run, I had to do something at the quarterback and tight end position. It hurts because I love Bateman. Jillard asked if Bateman's on waivers, should he drop one of them? So here's the question. Would you drop Kenny Galladay to get Rashad Bateman in a redraft league? I wouldn't probably. But I do like Bateman. I just don't know. Rookie wide receivers can be tough. He might come in this week and get 10 targets. I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in. Galladay's just never healthy. So I don't know, man. If being your 5th wide receiver, I might take the shot at the Bateman upside.
I might drop Russell Wilson.
That's true too.
I know that sounds insane, but I don't know when that dude's coming back. Could be 2 months from now. I might do that. I probably wouldn't.
When is Philly's bye week? Do we know when anybody know when Philly's bye week is? Because that would be the difference, right? Like, well, you're gonna have to drop if their bye week is soon. You're gonna have to drop Russell Wilson no matter what, right? Unless you have an IR spot, because you're gonna need a starter for Jalen Hurts whenever they're on bye.
Week 14.
Oh, so they have a stretch, right? So you could
drop. That makes that tougher now.
Well, you could drop Wilson now for Bateman, see how Bateman does, and then make your decision on picking up a quarterback in week 11 or 12 or something. You want to be early. You don't want to wait till the last week before the bye because you might get screwed there and not have any options. But last question, Facebook. Chase Edmonds, Jacoby Myers, AJ Green, or Josh Gordon for a flex. I know Gordon isn't a play. Just wanted to throw him in there. I just wanted to. I've held on to Josh Gordon for so long that I want to just add him into the equation, even if it doesn't fit. I feel you because I've had Josh Gordon on many of my rosters, just because. I mean, a lot of my dynasty rosters aren't even full right now because the options on the waiver are gross anyway. I think AJ Green's my start here. I think that he's getting targeted downfield. I think he's 100% on downfield throws right now. Actually, that document that I sent you guys earlier has it in it. Let me find it. Depth of target. Let's look up AJ Green on here. AJ Green. Targets. He has 26 targets, 16 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Deep target percentage 20%. And they've connected on 5 of 5 deep targets. It's not pretty, but there's touchdown upside, and it's a good offense. So I think I go AJ Green here. Bryce.
Looking here. What is Jacoby Myers' targets right now? Do we know? 46. He's got almost double the amount of targets as AJ Green. I know AJ Green's obviously seen more valuable targets, got higher touchdown upside, but I'm still going to go with Jacoby Meyer. I think his floor is just higher than AJ Green, even though he has been producing. But I just feel like there's going to be that week where he puts up like just a dud or just a couple points, and I don't want to take that risk. I'm gonna put the floor play here as a flex spot. I'm always a person that does like to put floor plays in flex spots unless I'm really, really behind. So I'm gonna stick with Myers. If I really want a big week, a guy that has 2, maybe even 3 touchdown upside, I probably would plug in AJ Green, but I'm gonna be safe and put in Myers here.
And that's why I'm playing AJ Green. He's got 2 touchdown upside, and I'll take upside all day. And I think he's got a solid floor. It may not be as good as Myers, but it's still solid. Sully.
I will go with Jacoby Myers as well. And actually, I would go Chase Edmonds over AJ Green as well.
You did $5 bet on Myers versus Green?
I don't know.
We're tied right now. We're the slate is washed. We didn't get a bet last week.
Let's do this last question. I gotta.
Okay.
Kadarius Toney, Keenan Allen, or Antonio Gibson at the flex? Sully.
Wow.
Keenan Allen. It's either Keenan Allen or Gibson. They're both very close for me. Toney would be third for me.
I'm going Keenan Allen as well. I think that Washington plays from behind, and J.D. McKissick goes in those situations.
Good call.
I thought of that last second. I was about to say Gibson, but then I was like, wait.
Very good call.
Kansas City. I'm going to go Keenan Allen.
I'll do Keenan Allen as well. And an option printing saying nobody's taking. Listen, Diggs is legit at covering wide receivers. That's who Myers has to deal with today. So it's not typical.
Do you think it's going to be Diggs?
Who's they going to have him cover?
I don't think I don't think he covers playing for sure. Receiver. Who? Diggs?
Wasn't Diggs banged up?
Trevon? I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought he was. So. Okay, I'll look.
I think he's playing. I think he covers. I think I don't even know if they might tell him just pick what side of the field you want to cover because there's nobody worth locking down.
Jacoby Myers is the only one worth it. Like you're not scared of Nelson Aguilar, N'Keal Harry, Kendrick Bourne.
They could put him on Kendrick Bourne. I don't know if they put him on the slot.
I don't know, man. I would be worried about Diggs on.
I think they let those linebackers cover the underneath, and they put Diggs on one of the outside receivers. I think that Diggs plays a side of the field rather than a player this week. That's
and all these receivers for New England move around, right? Like there isn't one guy that plays in the slot. Like Bourne will be in the slot for some, and Myers will be outside, and Aguilar will be outside, and because they're all like typically the same type of wide receiver. None of them are like alpha outside receivers, basically, is what I'm saying. And they move them all around the field.
They might have Diggs cover Hunter Henry. I don't know. I don't. Who do you lock down? There's not really. Like I said, I think they lock down a side of the field rather than a player. I think Diggs plays one side of the field.
I don't know, man. Thinking. Myers is the only receiver that I feel has much talent. Everything else is pretty much just
they're all a bunch of number twos and they're a bunch of number threes. Bourne and Aguilar are number threes. We don't have a number one, and Myers is a number two. So we need a number one. Bad.
Oh.
There's just
I don't think AJ Green gets the respect that he deserves, to be totally honest.
Yeah, and that's my thing is that if he falls in the end zone, he's probably outscoring Myers. One touchdown, and he's probably outscoring Myers on the week. Unless Myers finally breaks into the end zone, right? Like, unless Myers just, without getting into the end zone, he's just a 6-catch, 70-yard guy giving you a 13-point ceiling. And it seems like he's kind of jinxed when it comes to the end zone. He was down at the 1 last week. Like, it looked like he had his first touchdown, and then next thing you know, he's down at the 1.
It's not allowed. It is just not allowed.
They're going to have to get another receiver if he's going to find the end zone.
It's weird. Or he's going to have to throw it, right? Like, he's right.
I'm breaking up with Myles Gaskin live on air here. I'm done.
Darren Waller or Dawson Knox? Another question that who would have thought this was going to be a question, right? I don't know who this is on Facebook. This is the last one, though. I gotta go.
This is Castile.
It's Darren Waller. Obviously, Knox has put up some numbers this year, but I can't start Knox over Waller yet, and it could hurt. But hopefully, this new coach and system, whatever happens in Las Vegas, gets this right for all the players involved, and not just Waller, but it is Waller for me. But if Knox keeps this up, we might have to adjust some stuff when it comes to fantasy tight ends. Sully.
It's Waller for me as well. I'm very, very interested to see how the Raiders look. They lost their head coach for obvious reasons, but they also lost a pretty good play caller. So we'll see what that offense looks like. But I guess if I'm being handed the clipboard and told to run the offense, I think I'll just tell everybody to throw the ball to Darren Waller. So I don't think that changes. But Knox, didn't see that coming. Good for him. I wouldn't be surprised if Knox outscores Waller this week, but it's still Darren Waller for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bryce.
Yeah, Darren Waller pretty easily. All
right, last one. You guys said. Do you think Kareem Hunt is going to put up high-end RB1 numbers this week? Sully.
Kevin Stefanski came out and said he's not going to kill Kareem Hunt because he's not 100%. So does he have the ability to be an RB1? Yes. Does he have the ability to be a top 6? I don't think so.
Bryce.
Yeah, he's got the potential. We know that. But he said, he is a little bit banged up. But I think he gets a lot of PPR points this week. So he's got that ability.
Yeah, high-end RB1, I'm not convinced on, but I do think he's going to put up a solid week for you for sure. That's going to be it for week 6, boom or bust. I just realized that I didn't even have the right screen up and everything the whole time and all that fun stuff. But you know what? We appreciate everybody that stopped by, asked questions, showed support. We will be back next Sunday. 10:30 a.m. and good luck in all of your week 6 matchups.